My name is Dusty Ray. I am with Rent One. I've been at Rent One for about 7.5 years. I started out in regional management and moved into coworker development, along with Angie Brubaker in the back room, our instructional designer. So this is our nice and easy selling. So a little bit about me. I told you I'm with Rent One. I've been here 7.5 years. When I'm not at Rent One, I have a pretty active lifestyle. You can see my family here. There's my wife Nicole and I. And that's, it's kind of funny, but it's Nicole. It's Nicole with a C. So there's a point to this in the end. But she's been getting a lot of people misspell her name, Nichole. But Nicole, there's my wife and I again with our 5 children, Jonathan Saylor, Landon Garrison, Hudson. I go through the names because I think names are important, and that touches on a little bit of our nice and easy selling. I drink a lot of espresso. And pretty much anything fitness-wise, activity-wise, we try and do it. A little bit about me there. But why nice? Why are we here with nice and easy selling tips? If you've been in the game for a while, if you've been selling for a long time, this might be a refresher. You might know everything, but how do you get others to do it? How do you get others to use those practices? And so that they meet the expectations of the sales goals like Mark was talking about earlier if you were in the room. But if you're new to the game, if selling is new to you, it can be intimidating. The pressure of the goal setting and achieving the goals and building relationships with customers and getting the whirlwinds of tasks done, that can be intimidating. The nice and easy selling tips that we created and wrote together as a company, they should come first. They should be simple. If they're not simple, then you can't train on them. You can't execute them. You have to be patient. Sometimes it takes someone a while to learn a skill, but they must be mastered. It does take practice, practice, practice. There are no athletes that get on the court or the field without practicing. Why would we get on the sales floor without practicing? These are universal. I am confident I could go into any industry, I could go into any company and implement these practices with maybe some changes to some words or a tweak to the language, but they're universal. Once lost can be found in humility. Sometimes when you're talking to someone, they're saying, I used to do that, and I stopped getting results, and now I need to get back to doing it. But they really never change. Sometimes, going right into some of these tips from this book that I read, sometimes they're so easy. They sound so simple that it may be a trainer saying, why do I even have to get up here and talk about some of the most basic things? They might be common sense to us, but sometimes they're not common practice. But if they're easy to do, they're very easy not to do as well. So some of the things we wonder, why do people not do that? Because they're easy not to do. So that's why. Invisible results, maybe at first it doesn't add up. One of the paragraphs in the nice introduction they wrote about me was some of the millennials, they want instant sales-ification or instant gratification. I talk to a lot of people my age and younger. They say, well, I did some telemarketing once and I didn't get results. They thought that with one round of telemarketing, one round of mailers or postcards or sending out birthday letters, they should have had a high delivery day or a high delivery week, but they didn't do it regularly. They didn't see that the results add up. You might find that it's not valuable to read only 10 pages of a book a day. But if you're reading 10 pages a day, you're finishing more books than the average person with just 10 pages a day. It might seem harmless to have one cheeseburger value meal at a local restaurant, but to do it every day, it adds up, and the calories they build. So the results are invisible on day one or your first attempt, but there are results if you do them. They may seem insignificant. I said something to, I have twins, they're 4. One of the 4-year-olds, we were talking about something, I think it was soccer related, and his twin brother was saying, oh, it's okay, it doesn't matter. And the other one says, Garrison says, everything matters, right? He's 4 years old, and he's very competitive, but everything matters. They may seem insignificant, but to do these things consistently over time, If it's an assignment or a sales task that you do every Tuesday, it's not about doing it 1 or 2 Tuesdays. It's about doing it 52 Tuesdays a year, doing it consecutively, making sure that you get those things done. We all have some marketing out there. Does anybody not have marketing out there? With marketing, what do you expect to get? Some sales, right? There should be a cause and effect relationship with some marketing and some sales. And you're getting responses. The previous speaker, Mark, he spoke about some in-store examples. One of the special things I get to do at Rent One with our Rent One call center, our online orders, we have a Conversa, formerly Log My Calls. We have a recorded call number for every store. So one of the cool things I get to do is listen to recorded phone calls. Sometimes they make you just kind of want to cringe, right? Because you're like, why didn't they close that sale? Why didn't they ask for the business? So I know that on any given time, on any round of calls I want to listen to, I listen to a 7-day period and there's 3,000 calls, or I just listen to a small 50 phone calls because that's what fits on a page. 46% of the time, it's a sales-related call. So I know sales calls are coming in, and it's not every call that comes in that gets recorded. You're calling this special line. So I know sales are out there, and so what do? I say, well, I'm going to call other companies from anywhere in the U.S., so whether it's a Rent-A-Center or a Show Me or an Aaron's or an American Rental, I've probably called you and just acted like I wanted to buy a washer and dryer because right now I need a washer and dryer. I get the same results. So I know it's not a unique problem. I know that we have people that answer our phones that aren't actively trying to close a sale. So we want to make sure we're getting our investment with our marketing and we want to start closing some sales. So these are our NICE practices. The N in NICE stands for name and number. Now that might sound, why is that? Why are we talking about this? Well, roughly, if we're really good, if I have a really good day of mystery shopping, anyone in the industry, or if I'm calling realtors, calling a car salesman, on a really good day, 40% of the time, I get my name and my phone number asked for. 4 out of 10 times. Sometimes it's very, very low, but it's roughly 25% of the time on those normal days where people ask for my name and phone number. Most people just want me to come into the store, come in and see what I've got. Yeah, I've got furniture. Yeah, I've got a washer and dryer. Come on in and check it out. That's what I hear. That's the common trend, and that's not where you want your marketing dollars going, is someone saying, yeah, come on in. You don't have any way to follow up with them. So is anyone currently training anyone on how to get names and numbers? Is that in your sales training programs, right? Do you find that you often hear people not getting a name and number? Because you don't have to be on recorded calls. If you're in a management position and you just take a minute to sit at a dining room table in your showroom and you pretend to be on the phone or you pretend to be looking at reports, or maybe you actually are, but if you listen, you're going to see them, thanks for calling, come on in, pat myself on the back, I answered your question, yes, I have washers, I'm doing a good job. You don't hear them ask for that. So it's common sense to a good salesperson, but it isn't common practice to the 19-year-old you just hired that's never had sales training, to the person that's answering your phone, whether it be a delivery tech because you got busy. So role-playing is critical. And that may sound like a waste of your time, but I promise you it's not. And I see some heads, shaking no, it's not a waste of our time. Because it isn't. It's easy to do, but taking the time to teach someone to ask a name and number, it's also easy not to do. When do you get the information? When do you guys prefer to get a name and a number? Right at the beginning of a call, or right when you meet someone, right? Because many times they've got good intentions, they received the training, but they haven't practiced it. So at the very end of almost bombing the call, they say, by the way, can I get your name and number? Thanks, Joe, and hang up the phone, right? So it's very important to get it at the beginning. What's a good reason to get the name at the beginning? We love to hear our name, right? So when you forget the person's name, just to jump right into that before I go into loving hearing your name, when you forget to ask for the name, or not to forget to ask for the name, but to forget to use their name because you didn't hear it, what's a good tip to teach your people? Mine is, I know you told me your name in the beginning. What was it? I use that all the time when I'm with people because I get excited, I get engaged, I'm feeling the energy. I've had 8 shots of espresso. I know I got their name, but I forgot it. So I say, I know you told me your name. What was it? Because it also, you should feel confident. They should feel confident they're talking to an expert. Rather than listening to some of those recorded calls and you hear someone on the other end ask the customer's name 3 or 4 times, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, she said her name was Shannon. Come on. She said it 4 times, and you still need to ask her what her name is when you're filling out the customer order form or getting some more information. But using someone's name, not only it's not something they love to hear, but it activates your brain. When you hear your name, something clicks. Something turns on, so you're engaged. Makes you feel better. Someone's using your name, maybe you start to feel like the friend or start to feel like they know you. So it's really important. But it's just as important to use your name. Why would you want someone to use your name? They don't forget who you are. Does anyone have online reviews or get online compliments or bravos? When you do that, it's not, well, I talked to this woman in the store and she was really nice. It would be better, I talked to Mary in the store and she was phenomenal. And that way there's some specific compliments for you. But it's really good so that they know who to follow up with too. Because I also hear those calls, well, I was talking to that guy and he told me that there was a refrigerator on sale for this. Well, who's that guy? Well, I don't know. There's 5 guys in the store. Well, we're going to have to figure that out because I can't help you because I don't know what that special was. That's what we often hear. So I often hear, too, making up an excuse to get the information, and I call it an excuse, but some people don't. They like to use, in case we get disconnected, can I get your name and number? That's great because of the technology, the cellular phones, and roaming, and maybe losing calls. So it may not be an excuse, but really, I want to follow up with you. That's why I need your name and number. You called for a washer and dryer, and I might have to do some looking for it. And if you want something special or you're wanting a reduced price or scratch and dents or whatever that case may be, I want to follow up with you. That's why I want your name and number. And very rarely do I get asked why. Or do we hear people say, well, why do you need my name and number? Just ask for the name and the number. Is there any thoughts on that? The common sense and the may not be common practice, the value of getting a name and a number? I mean, getting the phone number, obviously we want to call them back. So there's not a whole lot of newness there to why you want to get a phone number. But some memory tips. Does anybody remember my wife's name? Nicole, right? One of the memory tips that I used was the second one here, spelling it. Is that Kathy with a C or Kathy with a K? You talk to them, you're using their name, you're wanting to get it right. But the first tip here is meet and repeat. Someone gives you your name and you instantly say, hi, Angie. You use it right when you hear it. You want to meet and repeat because there's so many times, especially here, you guys have probably met many people in the last couple days, but you walked up, hi, I'm Dusty, hi, I'm Andrew, and you got to start talking about something else. But you totally, I know that guy said his name when he walked away. What was it? I see another Dusty in the room, by the way, back there. I met him outside or somewhere. We said, hey, cool name. So it's easy to remember someone when you have the same name, too. We talked about spelling it, but creating an association, I have a little bit of struggle with this one. But if you've been to Dale Carnegie, you've been to some of these name association and images. And when they picture my name, I got some answers that surprised me. They pictured the cowboy and the sunset or the country singer. And I'm thinking, Dusty Ray, okay, I get it. But when you're talking to someone in the moment, you're not really sitting there or standing there visualizing an image. So it can be a challenge, but it's a good tip. But also connecting. So when you meet somebody that you know, if I meet someone, her name is Nicole, I can say, oh, hi, Nicole, my wife's name is Nicole. I'm not going to forget your name now. I think even, this is off the subject of names, but Dave Keene and I were talking at breakfast, and I think he shared someone's birthday was July 19th. Is Javante's birthday July 19th? That is my daughter's birthday. So now I'm not going to forget Javante's birthday. So Sailor will be 9 this July 19th. I'll have one in the mail for him. So he'll find me on Facebook, so we'll be good. But also, the fifth tip up here, it's the most valuable to me, but choosing to care. There are so many people that say, I am awful at remembering names. Maybe they care, maybe they don't care. We don't really get into that. But choosing to care, when you are face-to-face with someone again, and we're able to come to these meetings, and you come back, and you can say, hey, I remember you. Your name is Shelley. Or I remember you. He's not in. I don't think he's in the room right now, but I've seen him at several shows, and he's heard this talk either at IRDA and MRDA. His name is Jason. We bump into each other at these meetings, and we're able to chit-chat about what we talked about and how we utilized some of these tools after he left. So the I in NICE is inventory and in stock. Have you ever heard any of your salespeople say, I'm sorry I'm out of stock, or I'm sorry I don't have that? Hopefully you haven't, but the reality is I hear it a lot, that people just say I'm out of stock. Men tend to struggle with this a little bit more than the ladies in the room. Us men are visual. If we don't see it on the sales floor, we just say we're out of stock. Women tend to have a broader perspective, and they know that if I don't see it, it's somewhere in the building, I'll find it. So we have some little training tips there. But making sure that we get rid of this, I'm out of stock, or I only have used. Well, we typically have a lot of used goods in our company. Why is it I only have used? I'm sorry, I don't have it. Hang up the phone. Or can I put you on hold for a second? And that hold for a second becomes a minute, 2 minutes, 4 minutes. I'm amazed how long our clients stay on hold for us. I'm absolutely amazed. But getting some of this, pushing some of this away and replacing it. How would you replace I'm out of stock at your company? What's another phrase you would replace it with? We can order that for you. Anybody else have something? Thank you for all the participation, by the way. Anybody else have anything? We got multiple locations. We can get it by the end of the day. We'll have it for you quickly. Let's talk more about what you need, right? So some of ours, typically it's, I can help you with that. And tell me more about what you're looking for, or asking some questions, which we'll get to next. But my favorite one, Kevin, he was in the room a little bit ago. He talked about Nancy Friedman, the telephone doctor. Nancy Friedman taught me an invaluable tip, which is, let me double check. And then we call it being a double checker. And she has tons of stories where she's asked people to double check. And guess what? They had exactly what she wanted. And her studies were about 50% of the time, if she got the sales associate to double check, they had it. So if you're a manager or your sales manager has been gone for a day or two or a vacation, and they came back, and a couple days ago it wasn't there, it's still valuable for them to double check. No matter what it is, even when the answer, I'm pretty sure the answer is no. I'm pretty sure I don't have a Holland grill, or I'll use an example here, whatever it might be, I'm pretty sure I don't have it. I'm still going to get that name and number, talk about why they need it, what's going on, follow up with them in a few minutes and let them know maybe it's a rare item, whatever the case may be. But I'm still going to double check. I'm still going to be helpful and see if there's anything else that I can provide them. Product knowledge, I hear a lot of people, my mother-in-law also works for the industry, and when I listened to some of her recorded calls in the beginning when she started, I always heard her say, I'm new here. And that always drove me nuts. And I would pick up the phone and I would say, Shanetta, you are not new here. You need to start answering the phone with some confidence, and here's some product knowledge. Here's some tips. Here's some quick ways. So the customer doesn't care if you've been here for a day or 10 years. They want help. They need product. They have questions. We have a need to fill. Current promotions are very critical. I hear some people for 2 minutes Well, is it the promotion, or is it the flyer with the Santa Claus on it, or does it have the elf on it? Because the elf was our competitor, and somebody brought that in yesterday, and that didn't really apply to us. Is it blue? Is it yellow? Which flyer are you actually talking about? I don't care what flyer you're talking about, right? Let's talk about that refrigerator you just called about, and let me talk about what we have, or let me ask you some more questions. Pretty much anybody in the industry, almost all of us, has a competitive price match or whatever the case may be. Let's talk about the sale. Let's fly past what color that flyer is. But my ice cream machine story, I happened to be at the sales counter in a store, and there was only one other employee there. Delivery techs were out, an account rep was out doing something, maybe he was at lunch. There was only one other person in the store, and the phone was ringing, and so I helped answer the phone. We both answer the phone at the same time. He gets off the phone before I do. I'm talking to Michelle. Thanks for calling Rent One. This is Dusty. And she says, hi, I'm looking for an ice cream machine. And I'm pretty certain nobody in the company in 70-plus stores has an ice cream machine. But I say, great, Michelle, I can help you with that. What do you need an ice cream machine for? We start talking more, and she tells me about this event going on in Carbondale, Illinois, and a fundraiser, all this great stuff. And I tell her that that's a tough thing to find. Lots of things involved with keeping it cold, dairy. I don't know that anybody in our company has an ice cream machine, but let me double check, because there are some high-volume stores with some funky products, right? So I did that. I got her name, got her number. We went through the whole thing. The other call was for a 60-inch TV, but we were out of stock. And I'm thinking, I just tried to sell an ice cream machine that I'm pretty sure we don't have. I guarantee you there's a 60-inch TV somewhere, or a 55, or a 65, or something. There is a TV that we can sell to that customer who you did not get a name and phone number for. Because the last time you checked, we didn't have a 60-inch TV at this location, right? So we had a very quick training session, and she actually called back because she wanted to see about a different size TV, right? So she gave us a second chance. We did not lose it. We did not rent an ice cream machine, but we did have a popcorn machine, right? So we actually ended up loaning out the popcorn machine for the day for the fundraiser. She didn't find ice cream, but we did help her so that she had something to serve among the other things there. So we're not out of stock. It might be a unique product. It might even be something you might even consider that you don't have right now. Could be the next big item. It could be anything. So always be a double checker. Thanks to the telephone doctor, we've got that tip. C in nice is communicate and close. And this goes without saying, it's also common sense. Asking questions. Who's in control of a sales conversation? Who should be in control? The salesperson, right? The person asking the question to get the client talking. If the client's doing all the asking and you're doing all the sometimes sewing up over yourself, right? Because you can talk yourself out of a sale. You can talk too much. But what types of questions should we be asking? Open-ended, right? You get the customer talking with an open-ended question. If it's a yes or a no answer, it's a closed-ended question, and you're not getting that conversation that you're after. Because you want to be the expert. You want to be the person that's, from the beginning of the conversation, you started out like the expert. You started out with name and number. I want to follow up with you. But a lot of times we get those calls like, hey, do you have smartphones? I can help you with a smartphone. My most popular smartphone is this. Who am I speaking with? Right? You want to sound like the expert making that recommendation rather than going through, through all the products and all the different things and saying, well, it just depends on what kind you want. What kind of smartphone you're looking for? It just depends on what do you want? It just depends on what you want. Right? We hear that all the time. You have washers and dryers? Yeah, what kind? Well, it depends on what you're looking for. Duh. Right? It depends on what you're looking for. How about how many people are in your family? Tell me why you're shopping for a new washer and dryer. Because I got 5. I have 5 kids, and if I don't do 2 to 3 loads of laundry a day between my wife and I, we are behind with towels and all the soccer and gymnastics and the running and the outside playing and when someone's sick. So I have to have a dependable washer and dryer, high efficiency, high capacity, all those good things. But you say, well, my most popular washer is this entry-level Amana, and I'm going to say, no, I'm looking for something higher capacity or something bigger. What do you got? Then you go into that. It gives you a lead to say, okay, they're not looking for the largest smartphone that I've got. They're looking for something that's inexpensive. They're looking for the best deal, but making that recommendation so you sound like the expert on the floor. It might be the best in your company. It might be the most ordered online. It might be the most ordered in your store. Either way, sound like the expert and make a recommendation with your most popular product. Some people do a really good job with some of the things that I talked about already, name and number, being a double checker, but they still don't ask for the business. They still don't ask the customer, do you want to buy that now? Or how soon do you need it? Or can I deliver this to you today? And they give the customer all this great information. They made some good steps along the way to get to this point. But whether it's a fear of rejection or someone forgot to tell them, yeah, with all this other stuff, ask them to buy it too because you think they might buy it because you're nice or you sounded well. They've got to ask for the business. How does that sound? How soon do you need that delivered? And are we delivering this Saturday or are we delivering this on Monday? Give them some options. Or do you want this delivered at 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock? Whatever that is, expect to close the sale. Or assume you're closing this sale, not hoping you're closing this sale. So communicating and closing. We can all agree that we need to ask for business, right? That common sense, common practice kind of thing. Energy and expect to close. We've had many different practices or things that we've taught in sales. One of my most favorite parts of things that we've had in the past, we called it 5 principles of selling. It may not have been the most important to most people, but tone was very important to me. When I say tone, what's the first thing you think of? What's that? Sound, right? Your voice when you're talking. And to me, it was so much more. The tone of your voice was so important on the phone, the way you answer the phone, the way you talk to the customer. But tone was also body language. Tone was also, are you coming to work dressed appropriately, or are you on the sales floor in a hoodie with your arms in the sleeves trying to sell a TV? You know, what's the body language? How are you dressed? Are you smiling? How does the store feel when you walk in? Is the environment sterile? Is there music playing? Is there a movie going on? Is the TV wall on? Are the computers fired up? So when I thought more about it, it wasn't just tone, because sometimes it was just voice. That's all people thought of. So when I thought of energy, it made more sense to me. I have more energy when I wear dress clothes or a tie, or I take some pride in how I appear. I have more energy when I'm smiling, or when I walk in a showroom floor that has music playing, or if there's a DJ set demoing and the lights are glowing. I feel more energy. I'm absorbing it from the room. So energy versus tone was a big switch for me, and it made more sense to other people as well. But enjoying what you do each day, because you get to help your customers. You get to be there. There is a lot of people that I meet that feel like they have to show up. They just have to drive to work today. They have to sell some stuff. They have to be here, instead of getting to be here, being happy about where they are. And that's why I have, whoever it started with, whether it was Trent in the back room in the corner there, or whether it was Larry Carrico, someone taught me a long time ago, seven years ago, that it wasn't just a mattress that we were renting to somebody. We were providing a solution to a good night's sleep. We were providing a solution for entertainment. I still can never forget a phone call with a man named Charlie. And Charlie was maybe one of those platinum customers, and maybe he was overloaded with product. I don't think he was. He paid well, but he had a lot of product. And he was willing to return everything. He was bringing back the refrigerator, the washer and dryer, the range, the bunk bed. Now, you might laugh at first, but he didn't want to return the Xbox One, right? Now, there's some collection talks with that and whatnot, but the reason why he didn't want to return the Xbox One, not because it was cool for him or he wanted the Xbox, but what it was to him was his son's birthday present. So when we talk about picking that up, we weren't picking up an Xbox One. He was at risk of returning his son's birthday present, and he was going to find a solution for the other stuff because the job loss and the different things that were happening at home. But we were picking up the Christmas gift. We can pick up birthday gifts without even thinking about it. So the smartphone, it's that, to a millennial, it's a sense of freedom, right? Maybe it used to be a connection to family and friends, like a tablet or a computer. But that smartphone now, if mom has rented it for her 17-year-old, it's his source of freedom. It is his way. I have a 17-year-old stepbrother who had no desire to get a car when he turned 16. He just got a car a few days ago. He had no desire for it, but he did want the latest and greatest smartphone every single time one came out, right? So it's not about renting a mattress, even down to talking to account rep, delivery, whatever the title. No matter who you are, to see that bigger picture. You are not delivering a mattress today. You are providing a solution to a good night's sleep. When someone starts to see the bigger picture, they're pretty happy coming to work at 8:30, 9, 10, whatever time we open. They can see the difference in that perspective of getting to be there, not having to be there, especially when you've got good people on your team, and I know all of us do. We talked about assuming the sale already, but when we also mentioned the athlete that gets on the court doesn't expect to lose the game. They get on the court and they play hard, and they want to win. And again, I referenced Mark was talking about that CRS or that employee that just let that customer walk away. They made the payment. They look down at the living room. CRS still has their head buried at the counter. They don't see this customer looking at this living room. They just let them walk out. And having to go out there and get in their face, or not get in their face, but get to them and say, wait, I saw you look at that living room set. That's super important to know that we aren't just processing payments. We aren't just clerking, but we're out there assuming the sale. Something that I saw too is, and I don't have a lot on this. I actually thought I took it out, but I just looked up at my screen and I didn't. But playing multiplication instead of addition. How can you get faster results? And I think you get those faster results by paying attention to those little details, by having that energy, by knowing you have customers that need solutions. They've got some problems. They've got some needs at home with needing clean clothes. So you have to figure out how to multiply. And you're going to multiply by paying attention to those details. Names, numbers, being double checkers, communicating, asking for the business, having that energy that makes the customer feel like they've came to the right place. Those are the nice practices. Anybody have any thoughts or feedback on name, number, inventory and stock, communicate, close, energy, and expect to close? Anything you do in your training right now that's really working to share with the group? Maybe you don't want to share it, but please do. Yeah?
When it comes to telephone sales, like you were saying, you suggest your most popular item. Our program is to know 3 items in each category, to make yourself acquainted with those, and to give them those potentials.
Mm-hmm.
Item 1, item 2, item 3, be able to describe the difference between them, and then the closing question is, which one of those sounds like the best one for you?
Perfect. So then that, just to repeat that, that's training to have knowledge on 3 items, whether it be good, better, best, or something that you can get some information on quickly and put in your memory and share with the customer and then say which one sounds right for you, right? Yeah. So true. I love what you said, because what she said, if you couldn't hear her, was that when someone calls you and you just let them hang up, they're probably going to call someone else. And it amazes me, sometimes this light bulb will go on when I share that with someone, because they think, well, they just called me. I promise they have called other people. And one way I feel like I can prove that, in the summertime, when someone needs an air conditioner, right? They will call every single surrounding store, because I'll hear that call. They jump on shoprentone.com and they might call one store, and the salesperson was, "Oh, I'm out of stock because that's a really sensitive item and everybody wants one," or a lawnmower, right? Then they call the next store. You hear the same call, but they didn't get that aggressive salesperson. So it's got to be happening. They're calling more than one place, and if you're not going to do the work for them, they're going to do more work and they're going to find it, right? So we need to be the one that actually does call them back too, because sometimes that's a surprise when you say, "I'm going to call you back in 5 to 10 minutes," and you actually do. I do hear sometimes where, it's really busy. "I'm going to call you back before 5 o'clock," and I'm like, this call happened at 11 a.m. We're going to call them back. They're going to find what they wanted before 5 o'clock. So really, that's very important. Anybody else? I know someone else had their hand up or started to raise their hand. Okay. That's right. Ask for the order form right there. And that's super important too. What sometimes I get some pushback on that. Do the order form over the phone. Well, that's going to take me 5, 10, 12, 14 minutes over the phone. That's okay. Get it over the phone. Take that time. The customer said yes, not, "Well, can you be here at 3 o'clock? They might make another call because mentally they didn't close the deal over the phone with you. Wasn't a customer order form done, wasn't a mental signature. So get it over the phone while it's hot and ready. This is a quick tip to overcome objection. We all hear people say something like, "I'm just looking right now," right? What other objections to buying have you heard? That's the one I use all the time. I got to talk to my wife, right? Most of the time, people let me walk away with that excuse, because if I'm talking to a dude, he understands, right? But this one time I think I was on the phone with, I think it was Hampton Inn, and I was just playing around with some vacation package things. And this woman, her name was Tammy, she said, for the first time ever, Tammy said, "What's your wife's number and I'll conference her in." And I was like, "Actually, Tammy, that's amazing, but I was just trying to get off the phone with you." Right? So we got to talking, and I was telling her what I was really doing. But so we talked for a few more minutes, and I told her I really wasn't interested in the vacation package. But she's the only person to ever do that. So I had to write a good review for Tammy on the Hampton Inn, let them know that I thought that was awesome. Yeah.
When I have customers come in my store, first of all, I'm on the floor with them, and they say, "Oh, I'm just looking." I'm like, "Well, I turn lookers into buyers."
Turn lookers into buyers, right?
But it's a way to kind of cut that edge out so they become less defensive. And I mean, I would say 8 out of 10 times I close the sale because, I've bridged that gap between them.
Yeah, so you take some of the O'Shea's advice, right, and add some humor to it. And that makes it fun. You add that humor with, "I turn lookers into buyers," right? And a lot of times some people will combat that with, they hear the "I'm just looking," and they say, "That's great, what are you looking for?" But the worst thing in the world, and you guys have probably seen it or heard it, okay, holler out, "Be right here when you're done," or "Just holler at me when you're ready," right? We hear that a lot. So this quick www.sold.com, there are probably several overcoming objection tips out there, and this is just one that I had some fun with. But we talked about, "I'm just looking," I want to think about it, want to check with my wife, made the list.
The other thing you can say on the wife is, "Well, let's surprise your wife."
Exactly, let's surprise your wife, right? So, okay, well, you know what you're looking for. What would your wife look for? Maybe you got some of that in there, because I know what Nicole would want. She wouldn't care about the fancy gadgets and the cool stuff. I like the fancy gadgets and the cool stuff. But I know her, so definitely. What would she buy?
Well, let's remember the transaction.
What's that?
Let's remember the transaction, the opportunity to get something in the house and try it before you buy it.
Exactly.
If she doesn't like it, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Phone and I'll get you something else that she doesn't like.
It's a great advantage to our industry, right? Try it before you buy it if she doesn't like it. If she thinks the 65-inch is too big, you can bring it back and exchange it for the 55, right? Close the need, fill the need, close the sale, make it happen. We've done things like that too, where a few years ago when we had iPad and the Android tablet in the store, the customer couldn't make up their mind over the phone. Which one do you want? I recommend this. Well, I was told this, and well, this one does this, and this does that. She could not make up her mind. And I'm on the phone with her, and I said, do you live near here? Are you in this market? And she said, yeah. And I said, I'm going to send Brandon to your house with both tablets. When Brandon gets there, he's going to call me. You're going to test both of them out, and he's going to tell me which one you want. And we're going to get this. You're going to find out a solution, right? You're going to get connected with your tablet. Done the same thing with living rooms, right? The wife is in the store, and the husband's at home, and she says, well, he's the one that sleeps on it. He's the one that really needs the couch, but he can't come because he's doing this or he's resting. We've taken the sofa or the love seat. Where's he at? He's at his brother's. Have him sit on it, pop it in the box rack. We've done that, probably not a lot, but we have. Does he like it? Great. If he likes it, we'll get it set up. If not, we'll keep looking. But this is where you can insert any objection. So this is where the 3 W's come from. But when you've talked to your wife and she says yes, when you've checked your finances and you've said yes or you're good to go, or even when you're done looking and you've said yes, you could throw in any objection here. What's your address? Now, I think it's Brian Tracy, the author of, I think it's The Psychology of Selling, if I'm remembering the book right. One of his things is when you've got the address, it's pretty much a done deal. If someone is willing to tell you they live at 921 East Main Street, you can be pretty confident you're closing this sale. So when you've talked to your wife and she says, yes, what address are we delivering to? Or what's your address? And when are you usually home for a delivery? When are you usually home for a delivery is a little bit of a tweak to what time is best for you. But that also allows me, when they say, well, I'm usually home after 3 o'clock, I can say, great, so do you work between 8 and 2? Or where do you work at? What do you do? We build that conversation. Before you know it, if you do it right, you're more than halfway through a customer order form, and the customer doesn't even know it, right? So it's not, well, do you have a few minutes while I fill this out? If you're building this conversation and you pencil in that delivery time, we've tested this. I've tested it. I had some managers in training, I think at the time they were sales managers in training. We tested it. It was on a Wednesday, middle of the month, potentially low delivery day. But that doesn't matter because I want to get as many out as I can any day that I'm in a store. And we simply went up to people, went through all these practices, utilized this when you've talked to your wife and she says yes. We actually delivered 60% more than the stores in the surrounding market that day. Now, the numbers were still small on a Wednesday. I think we had 6 out with 2 sales commits on this alleged slow day. But because we asked, maybe differently, we utilized some practices, the 2 sales commits did follow through the following day. So it's kind of nice to brag about maybe we were 100% that day. But they did follow up. A man did want to follow up with his wife on a refrigerator. And a man did want to, he said he wanted to check on his finances for a stereo. But both of those were closed the following day as well. So, but what did it take to do that? We penciled in the delivery because it wasn't a done deal. And I know most people may or may not use pencil when they're using a delivery book. But following up, we called those people because we also penciled in the phone call. We wrote on there at 10 o'clock, call John. At 10 o'clock, call so-and-so. So we could make sure that got done with their phone number and say, hey, I know we tentatively scheduled a delivery for 3 o'clock this afternoon, but you wanted to talk to your wife first. We made those things happen. Following up, and how many times, anybody heard there's fortune in the follow-up? I have always heard it, believed it, but now I'm just a full-blown believer, having worked at a call center, following up with online orders, online chats, recorded calls. One of the things I also tend to do with some of those recorded calls, we've really pushed a lot of work towards store managers on recorded calls. But I'll go do the training in a store, and that's one of the first things that we do. We'll pull up the recorded calls, we'll just start listening, and then we'll just call. Hey, Jonathan, I know you were looking for a laptop, and you talked to James yesterday. Did you get that laptop? No, nobody called me back, right? So then I'm like, okay, great. I've got several laptops in stock right here, right now. We just go through the whole process because maybe there's a lot of different examples, but nonetheless, we took those resources and we followed up. And then the person that took the call, I forgot to tell you that he called yesterday, Miss Manager, and we probably all those calls that aren't recorded, there are some other examples there, but we can't do anything with it. But following up is crucial. If you do follow up, if you are able to use when you've talked to your wife and she said yes, what's your address, and when you're usually home for a delivery, can be a mouthful at first. But if you're able to start getting those, you will close more sales. In my mind, in my world, a sales commit with some follow-up, that's still good, because there are a lot of people, there's a ton of the whole researching before you buy and looking at your smartphone, and maybe they still truly do want to shop around. My wife is always looking through Craigslist, finding this, finding that, but the quality is always in question. But we can get more sold with some of these nice practices, with a consistent way of overcoming objections. And then this was more just to get it out there and just to create the awareness. But the .com part of this www.sold.com, you could squeeze it in anywhere in the beginning, before you close the sale. But the C, that's a care program. Every one of us has some sort of care plus, care service, advantage to your company, advantage to doing business with you. And that's something you need to own as well. Making sure you believe in that product. Do you use it yourself? At Rent One, we have Care Plus. I use it. We have those extended service plans. I use it. I believe in our program. I chose opting in for text for the O. Some companies may or may not have text messaging as an option. We do. It's a great tool. So at Rent One, we really try to get our employees to believe in that as a tool. Making online payments. Getting the account management, collections team to buy into online payments is huge. For stores that walk in and they already have payments in the morning because they processed at 12:01 a.m., they're already getting collections in line and they didn't even have to do any work. For us, it's Salesman 99. We love Salesman 99. Getting those payments coming through can be an account rep's dream, or client retention specialist for Angie in the back room for our title there. But online payments, common practice, that's huge. It's such a big tool for someone to buy into that, and it's a great feature to have. But as a quick review, I don't know where we're at on time. Hopefully I'm going through this fairly quickly, because there's so much information that you guys have been given while you're here. To keep on going and to keep filling it is just exploding. 10? Okay, so we're good. But the nice and easy review here: name and number, inventory and in stock, communicate and close, energy and expect to close. Again, when I'm doing some sales training, I just focus on name and number in the beginning. Once we can nail name and number, we are so much closer to the ice, right? The inventory and in stock, communicate and close, energy and expect to close. Even if, a lot of times with our new employee at a call center or new employee in the company, they don't have all the answers, but they do know that we can help you with that. What's your name and number? Ask them a couple questions, and I'm going to have, if the salesperson is busy or someone that has all the knowledge is busy, I'm going to have Brian call you back in 5 minutes. How does that sound? Great. Have them call them back. But the inventory and in stock, being a double checker, communicating and closing, asking for the business, and energy and expecting to close. Coming to work because you get to, not because you have to. Finding those solutions and not having that fear to overcome the rejections. Making sure that, or not to overcome the objections without fearing rejection. With the www.sold.com. Are there any questions or thoughts to your training or how you can use this, something you want to take back and start using? Yeah.
What's your email so we can get the PowerPoint?
Yeah. My email is dray@shoprent1.com. And if you go to shoprent1.com, my face is on the chat. You can also find me there.
A lot of old adages, they always said the sale doesn't start till you get the first no.
Sure, the sale doesn't start till you get the first no, right?
That's a great one.
And I always thought, I could do sales, and I listened to my first recorded call, and that's back when we scored them and you got coaching. I thought I did a good job. I got a 46%. I was embarrassed, and I said, never again. Next call, 105. But it took...
Just looking, I've used this for years, and it just came out of me, but I'm just looking, and I would say, well, that's great, Dusty, because we're not charging for looking today. Yesterday it would have cost you.
There you go, more humor, right?
It just causes the defenses to automatically drop. Or just say, what are you looking for? 9 out of 10 will answer your refrigerator. Well, that was easy.
Or have you seen any of your salespeople do this? They're standing at the refrigerator, the customer is, and they say, what are you looking for today? Their head's halfway in the fridge. Really? Right? I think they're looking for the fridge.
If you think about it, they got in their car, they came to your store. I know it's a great place, but unless they're waiting on food, they came for a reason.
Exactly.
Assume they did.
Exactly. There's probably a need that needs filled right now. Yeah.
Dusty, the number one objection we have in our stores is I don't have any money.
Oh.
How do you address that one?
Well, I don't have any money today. There's probably a ton of different solutions in here, and I'll give one, and there may be some pushback. But a lot of the times, if you don't have any money today, it's oftentimes, well, when are we delivering it? Now, they probably want it now. They probably, let's say it's Tuesday and they don't get paid till Friday. There are maybe some options to get it going, but not deliver it till the first payment comes through on Friday. To get that commitment, whether it be physically written. I know at Rent One, we also have 3 parts. Sometimes you can get that signature on there that they're committed to buying from you. And then on Friday morning, we'll collect that payment or get them set up. There may be a ton of solutions, but I like to get some type of signature, because that's really where you mentally stop shopping. If you know that Aaron's, Rent-A-Center, Rent One, American Rental, all of us in the room, if you are the customer and you know that company is showing up on Friday morning at 11 o'clock with your refrigerator, you're pretty much done shopping, you can assume. So unless they just happen to stumble upon a great deal.
Book the delivery first, figure out the rest later.
Book the delivery first, figure out the rest later. Exactly. And most of the times we want to figure out the rest first. We want to, this is a pet peeve. The customer says, I'm looking for a refrigerator, and it's, well, have you done business with us before? What's your last name? Let me look at your history. Let me inquire on those closed agreements really quick. Figure out that stuff later. Let's get this sale going, right? That you hear the typing and it's silent, and, well, you rented from us in 2009. Why have you not been back? Right? Well, let's talk about that later, right? Let's close this sale. Anything else? Thanks for coming today, guys. Have a great trip home.